talk to you about change, about the process of transition. And as Jen mentioned during her book announcement, this is based on one of my favorite Unity books, Finding Yourself in Transition. It was written by Unity Minister Reverend Robert Brummett, who was my favorite teacher in seminary. He really had the greatest impact on me. He was my teacher in Buddhist meditation, insight meditation, and he came and installed me at my first church down in New Jersey. By the way, I have some friends here visiting from my first church in New Jersey, Joe and Mel and Kathy. Kathy, of course, was also here. But, you know, I see you as the trio from New Jersey. But anyway, Robert came down there when I was stalled, and he is just such a gentle spirit, and this book is phenomenal. And when I first came here 5 years ago, it'll be 5 years, August 1st, can you believe it, that I came to you here in Worcester. I did this series back then because you were getting a new minister and I was getting a new church. But I was thinking about the fact that we are really in a period of transition, aren't we, as the Unity Church of Central Massachusetts, right here and right now, with lots of exciting things happening, but particularly the fact that we are about to go from being an English ministry to being both an English ministry and a Spanish ministry. Yes. Big transition. And so I thought, you know, this is the right and perfect time to revisit this material in this book. Robert Brummett basically divides it into 3 sections: facing the ending, entering the void, and embracing the new beginning. And this first section will be on facing the ending. Because what a lot of us do when we find ourselves in transition is that we really rush headlong into embracing the new beginning. We don't spend a heck of a lot of time facing what it is that we are letting go, what we are releasing. We certainly don't want to spend too much time in the void, which you'll learn a lot more about next week. But the void is when you're wandering in the wilderness in between the ending and the new beginning, not quite knowing where you are. Very unsettling period. Lots of times we just go from beginning to beginning to beginning. Have you ever had that happen? You know, one of the most common examples of that is you break up in a relationship and next week you're with a new person. Right? So did you face the ending? Were you in the void very long? No, you're right into the new beginning. How often does that work out? Doesn't tend to work out too well for us. When we skip this natural process of being in transition. You know, I think about my own personal life and what's going on for me, and there's always a reason why I'm drawn to certain material. And I don't think there's ever a time for most of us that we aren't in some form of transition, some type of change in our lives. And I know that many of you were here in the last 5 weeks with my mom coming to church, Kay Stannard. But I am definitely in a time of transition with her. I've been sharing with my friends, she's in kind of a steep decline right now mentally, emotionally. For those of you who are familiar with dementia, one of the things that happens for them is that they get more and more difficulty sleeping. So she's up most of the nights. I'm here today on 2 hours of sleep. Put her to bed at 11 o'clock last night. She got up at 2. The whole house was woke up, all the lights on, banging, slamming drawers and doors, and went down, got her settled. She's back up at 3:30, went down, got her settled. She came up at 5 o'clock to wake me up. When are we going to go? You know, that kind of thing. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And this is kind of a slow, gradual change and transition in knowing that big changes lie ahead for us. And then I think of the folks in Aurora, Colorado, went to the movies at midnight. Not so much preparation, right? Not so much time to prepare for a huge transition in some of those folks' lives, both the ones who survived and the survivors' families. And so I really believe, you know, I say we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Part of that human experience is that we're guaranteed to be in transition. We're guaranteed to have to face change in our lives, right? Yeah. That we have to face endings. We need to enter those periods of what we call the void and then embrace the new beginnings. Now, some of you might be saying, you know, in terms of the church with the Spanish ministry, hey, BJ, you know, nothing's going to change for us in the English ministry. We're still going to have our 10 a.m. service. So why are you spending this time talking about facing the ending? So I just want you to turn within for a minute and reflect. Just take a moment of quiet reflection and think about what is ending for you here at this church with the beginning of the Spanish ministry. You know, one possibility is that you're not going to see some of your favorite people anymore at 10 a.m. You know, and you know, many of our Spanish-speaking folks are sure, oh, BJ, I'm going to come to both services. Well, remember Rhode Island? Remember Unity of Radiant Light? Some of you may not have been here for that, but we had a lot of folks that used to come up here from Rhode Island and go to church because they didn't have a Unity Church in Rhode Island. And so we sponsored and coached the start of a Unity Church in Providence, Rhode Island called Unity of Radiant Light, headed by Cherie Fisher, who also just spent a week at the Village with Tina Go. And many of those folks, like Claudia Acera and Jennifer Page and Joey Allaire and Jonathan and Grace Karchik and Marie Bouvier Newman and Patty Rossi and Joey's mother Robin Allaire and on and on and on. You know, we see them, right, occasionally. But it's not like it was it? Where they were with us most each and every week. And so that, you know, if I don't know if I would make the commitment to go to 2 Sunday services a week. You know? So they say, yeah, I'll be at the 10 a.m. and then I'll be at the 1 p.m. And I already had somebody in the English ministry come and say to me, you know, one of the reasons I'm here is because of Jeanette and Alfredo and Carmen and, you know, and Davina and Ileana, and on and on and on, right? You know, it's not going to be the same for me. And you know, and we have to acknowledge that. No, that's what change is. It's not going to be the same. Carla back there, Gina Marie and Donna, right? It's not going to be the same. It's going to be better, Carmen. It's going to be better. Hey, you're going to let us grieve a little bit. We have to face the ending. Don't rush me into the new beginning. In 3 weeks we'll be in the new beginning. Right now I want to grieve.
That's the end of her talk, moving on.
Some other things, you know, fellowship isn't going to be the same. We're not going to tear this room down and then rebuild it, you know, within a 3-hour span. Really 2 hours. So fellowship is going to move from being in here and the feel that it has now to being out in the waiting area and perhaps out on the lawn, you know, when it's good weather. So that'll be different. No more 12:30 universal dances of universal peace. No more 12:30 workshops. No more 12:30 anything on Sundays. Okay, so to say it isn't going to have an impact, it is. It's going to have an impact. There cannot be a new beginning, folks, without first facing the ending. Facing the ending always leads us right to the subject of change. Because it's really talking about change. How do we feel about change? We don't like it. You know, it's been said that the only person who really likes change is a wet baby. There's a true story about an African tribe that faced a very serious problem. You see, they were all dying. women and men between the ages of 30 to 40. And a group of scientists went to sea to investigate why, in heaven's name, was this going on for this particular